bounce to it. Good evening, everyone, and welcome, welcome, welcome. We are now on our summer schedule. I am the Diva D from Carved Out Divas
April Cobb with April's Beauty Bar, and we are diversity and equity.
in education, and we are being hosted by the fantastic and phenomenal Bianca Goolsby of Teaching for the Culture. April, how you doing?
Girl, we got a lot to talk about. See, I knew that when we went into this new way of works for diversity and equity in education, we would be able to come back with a plethora of information to talk about as it relates to education here in our city and variations of other topics that's not so much in our city, that they left our city, but now they're creating calamity in their new cities. But I digress. Let's move forward.
Let's move forward. And I love the list that you posted earlier. So if those of you who are logging in to just check out what April posted earlier, all of our hashtags, we've got so much to talk about. I mean, I don't even know honestly where to begin, but I guess we'll start as usual with things that are happening in education. Okay. Um, First of all, I guess I don't know. I mean, can we start locally? I think that's what we'll do. We'll start
Yes, let's
locally and
start local. Let's start local.
then
And I will
expand.
say that let's talk about our overall leadership in the district hypothetically. Because
Okay. Mhm.
hypothetically, a district of this size should not be at the wake of the financial disparity that we are in right now. And it seems as though no one wants to recollect that all this information was presented, last summer?
Yes.
I
Correct.
mean, and we don't want to even recap on the fact that when this information was being presented, there were so many sitting on the dais. They love that word now, the dais, that said, "Oh,
Hmm.
that's not true. That's not happening." But now, what do we
Hmm.
have, Denise?
We have entire news articles, news reports, follow-up features, investigative report. We just have all kinds of things that are confirming what was put out there over a year ago. We broke.
Wait, how long
Okay?
ago that was? Hold on,
We
hold on.
broke
How long ago that was? Because we're entering the summer. How long that was?
over a year ago. Over a
Legs.
year.
Just give me legs.
Just throw some legs on the board. There you go. Take flight.
Run, take flight, because
Take flight.
it's been being talked about, but
Ben.
nobody wants to talk about the facts, the truth. We want to sit in a burning building like that meme with the cartoon sitting there in the fire and saying everything's okay, everything's
Everything's fine.
okay, everything's all right. Oh, okay, it's
Correct.
not. It's not, and it's not until the convenience of our local media outlets, whether it be newspaper or on televised, it's not until they gain interest, I guess, at some point, that there might be some facts in this.
Right. That's really the only time you see people actually jumping up and saying, "Well, hey, maybe we should work on it." But the problem with our county is that we are reactive. We are not proactive whatsoever. So we will let the building burn to the ground before we say, "Let me go ahead and spit on it, and maybe we'll get some kind of result." By that point in time, ain't no fire extinguisher in the world that's going to clear up all of the damage that has been done. And then when we talk about damage, we talk about financial damage. In fact, I read a report that said that as we head into the summertime, we might be heading into the summertime completely broke because a little bit of bailout that we have might not be sufficient. So how do we get to this point? Let's talk about that. How do we get here? Because you know what? When we ask those pertinent questions, a lot of people have no answer, or they will say it wasn't on me. It didn't happen during the time that I was there. This didn't take place. But wait a minute. Wait a minute. Nothing happens overnight. That's the first thing we need to focus on. Nothing happens overnight. There's no way in the world that we've lost millions of dollars in a short space of a few months. That took time to lose that level and that amount of money.
All while
40.
we were having audits. Let me pause there. All while we were having, so to speak, financial audits. whoever that auditing company was, we need to go back and get all our money, because I can say because my tax dollars also invest into this district. We need to do an audit on the auditors, because how did that go so wrong? But I want a forensic audit. Make it make sense, please. Please.
That's all I'm saying. We need legs.
And for those of us that's in these communities, inner city communities, that just keep acting as though this does not impact you, don't keep sitting thinking that at this point, it has been proven that your voices, because we don't hear them, they are disregarding you at this point. You're disregarded. We're not talking loud enough and speaking to the tone of the people where they're willing to do something different so we can get a different response. They become what's called tone deaf to the conversation that we're at this point. Y'all are being disregarded. Inner city, they're not going to do much. They're not going to say much. We can do whatever we want. We're not concerned about that. Inner city federal schools, we're not worried about them. They're not going to do much. We better wake up. So for all the people that have been saying, where are the action items? Where are the solutions? Come together. Let's put them together. There's been a lot of solutions put out there. There's even been conversations with board members, conversations with legislators, conversations with the individuals that's run government officials. There's been plenty of conversations. And the one conversation that still sits out to me the most is when we had Senator Cruz and what was the other one? Castor. Was it Castor? That they both said they did not know the state of education that was happening in Hillsborough County.
Yes. Yes.
That I will need to roll the eyes all the way into the back of their heads and just sit there. The eyes just need to sit there in the back. Don't release the eyes from the owls. Just let them sit back there and just roll them. Roll the eyes and let them just sit back there. Because how you're governing us, you're at a position to make decisions for us even around education, but you all don't even know what's happening. How not? Have we been asleep? Oh, I know. It doesn't affect you all.
That's correct. That's correct. And so that's where what we're looking at. Remember, understand, if it does not affect the people who are making the decisions, who are creating the legislation, who are writing the laws, who are doing things like that, well, obviously they're not thinking about you. Because their kids are already grown. Their kids have gone to the Ivy League places, and they're not affected by what's at the heart of the situation, where they don't come down to this level here and look at a particular community and see the crime and see the issues in the community and understand what the people want, or how to, because you've got people that really want what's best for their families, but you're not seeing those people. Those people are not invited into the room. Those people are not there for the conversation. You're not seeing them. You're passing all this judgment and legislation against people who are never allowed to speak. And if they're not allowed to speak, how do you even know where they're coming from? How do you know what they need? So it makes it a lot of sense why you would force into the schools computer programs and all these different things that just are not applicable to the kids, or don't relate to the kids. And now you're thinking that, well, your schools are failures. Well, schools are failures because you have not listened to the community in which you serve.
And those will be the constituents, the people that we stand before them and say, make all those false promises about what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. And then when you get in that new dais, sit up in the dais, now you don't know nothing. The hell going on? I get so tickled by it. Like, it just does not make any sense. The constituents, remember those people? How you got there? Yeah, like those people. Angela, Dr. Schroeder says that right there. There's a difference between a committee and actually listening to people in the community. Yeah, those people. Because if we hear about one more committee, I don't want to hear the word committee no more. We got rid of the word robust. And what's equity? I'm tired of hearing that too, because there's nothing equitable going on. Now, Bianca and I was having a conversation, and she made a valid point. Right now, we are highlighting the wins that are happening in our district with the Super Bowl, the hockey, what else? The baseball, whatever it is, we're considered the champion state,
Mm-hmm.
the champion city. That's what we are. We are a champion city with but we are identified in education as failing.
What Allah? I don't know what Allah, because how could you be a number one in everything else? Football, hockey, baseball. You're number one, but you're 45th in education. There's only 50 states. There's only 50 states.
And so, 27 of our schools are low performing.
Correct.
But we are the city of champions.
Right. And it makes sense
we're failing in education. The children, we're failing the children. How are the children? Yeah, run them cross.
Take flight.
Run them cross.
Now it makes sense why kids gravitate to sports, because they figure that is the only way out. Well, obviously I can't get it with education, so I might as well just have it on sports. But when you're so single-minded in your achievement or what your goals are, you're definitely not going to put education in the forefront. You see adults forcing sports as the only thing to live for. But wait a minute. What happens when the child can't read, though? We can't read the contract. You got to take it all the way to the top. If you want to make that association that sports is everything, what about when it comes time to read a contract? Have you noticed all these players or all these actors and superstars and rappers and stuff that they come out one year and then they totally disappear? They broke. Because people smarter than them have written a contract that is not for them. It's to take all their money.
Again, and we look like that many of the groups that were coming along when we were younger. What was it? What was the group?
MC Hammer.
MC Hammer was one. There was also,
TLC.
3 girls, TLC. And there was a bunch of others that just could not survive after being young and parents not being knowledgeable enough to know what was going on in those contractual terms.
Right.
They just signed away their wealth. Sign it away. But once again, it all is a reflection of leadership. I don't care what they say, even though they're stripping us away from the classrooms and groves. It's a reflection of leadership. We were not this bad off. Yep, definitely not all the 100% fault of Addison, but he surely is scraping the wound, opening the reef, just pull the scab off, straight up flesh, because you are just ripping up. Some of these teachers that don't know right now on the last day of school if their job is intact.
Right.
We say something in the media, but
the way it was done also was in poor taste. They're the ones who were released from their position. I mean, through an email, that was just, I don't think that was I know that was in such poor taste as well. And when it comes, and when you talk about leadership, you want to say to yourself, well, I mean, are we being guided in the correct direction? But you can start off small and go out and spread out to the leadership that has already left our district and has gone other places, and have they shown the leadership ability? And this is a big concern for us, especially as people of color, because if you are going to take your skills and your everything that you have and take it someplace else, be a representation of the people that you left, or at least be a representation of your color. We're just having some issues out there in the Outer Banks, as I like to call it, with additional leadership, and we'll put that there. But we'll put a pin in it right now. Okay. What about the HCTA, April? What about that?
Well, I know. I'm a member, and I know that, and we talk to other educators. Do you do that?
Yes.
What are your educators saying? What do they feel right now? How are they feeling about consistently paying out the money, but they don't feel like what are you getting? Because I know
they feel like how the British felt back in the day: no representation without no taxation without representation. That's how they feel when the colonies were formed. That's exactly how teachers are feeling right now. Because where's our life net? Where's our survival guy? That's what we thought the CTA was. And it's when you're seeing people getting slashed left and right and being forced into early retirement and all these different things. I mean, what? And a question was posted a couple of weeks ago, and it was very poignant. Well, can all the people who paid in get their money back? That was the question.
Because one thing we do know is that their jobs are secure. That's one of the things that brought to my attention. I was like, Call those people and have that conversation with them, because I don't know what to say. I have some concerning feelings myself, because it seems like with many feel the same way that I do, that we waited too late to address many of the issues. Like we gave the district the better hand in a position to move, their chess pieces in a better position than what we were. We showed up and we were like late to the game, because like right now the May 18th, what do you call it?
A rally?
Rally that they're doing. Why at this point? What point is it really going to serve at this point?
Mm-hmm.
The damage is done. So you have a lot of them that many say that the only reason why they stay as members is because in the event there's a lawsuit or legal action brought against them for the legal representation. But then there's also some that say, based upon the response that they've gotten from teachers removed out of their positions, teachers shuffled and moved around, does the contract even have validity to where we think it does versus the actuality of what it does? And I was like, I never thought about that. But those are all good questions to go and ask directly to the office, that, because at this point, a lot of money going out. And I just feel that a lot of people, teachers, even support staff, feel as though they're not getting the quality of service that they got back. And I think one person said, like, compare the CTA 10 years ago to now, and it seems as though a lot has changed, and not for the betterment of the teacher. And you got the cheerleaders want to say thanks CTA for all that. Yeah, we're thankful for what they do, but could there be more? Absolutely. And hey,
yes,
you ain't gotta like me, but one thing about it, I pay into it so I can talk about it.
Right, exactly. And so that's the key. It's like, well, we have on one end, it's like there is that legal perspective, that security that comes from that, because you're covered. But at the same time, where you're seeing or you feel is the security right there on that one end, and the other time you're looking at, well, what happened to our contract? What happened to what we paid into? I thought this was going to help us. But remember, we also looking at the fact that we in a state that is the right to work state, which kind of breaks them too. And it's like they're like, well, here it is. We have a union per se, but the union really doesn't have a whole lot of superpowers, unlike like in other states. And then looking at this overall, you want to fire a whole bunch of people, but then hired supposedly new teachers at a higher rate. Then gonna say, well, I got rid of this section of staff, and now I got to hire some more people. It makes absolutely no sense what they're doing. So somebody please tell me. And if anybody have a comment, please put it in the comment, because I don't understand. I don't know. I can't call it.
It's something I can't even see comments anymore. I don't know what's going on. Maybe I'm losing network. But
well, we know the Spectrum has been acting very crazy on my side of town. Spectrum has been doing what it wants. It has outages, shortages, and I need my money back. That's first of all. Second, I don't even know why the power went out early this morning. I mean, not even a drop of rain has fallen in almost 3 weeks. So y'all help me out with that. But I'm looking for credits at this point in time. But going back to what's going on right now with our board members, our supervisor, everything like that, our superintendent, all those things like that. Please understand, people, that elections matter. Elections matter. We need to vote. It's the same way you voted people in, it's the same way you can vote people out. And remember, the governor's up for re-election. You have a lot of things that are happening on the local level as well as state level, as well, all throughout the state. And what you see happening right now in Tallahassee, the Republicans are in control. So therefore, if you want things to change, you got to change the playboard around it. Say change the chessboard, switch it up a little bit. That's how we're going to effect change. But understand how important it is at the local level. People seem to disregard the local level when it comes to voting. You can change your taxes, you can change your property tax, you could change just simple things, even in the neighborhood, rezoning, all that stuff like that, by voting. So don't think that your vote does not count. It counts. It counts.
That it does. And make your decision, make your informed decision based upon how the person that you did vote for, how they represented you overall as it relates to what was the best interest for you and your family. If you found that most often in the case when they made decisions when they were in a position, did it benefit their own self-interest or did it benefit the people that they serve? You know, those constituents, those communities. If you find that, and more often they are basing their decisions off of their own personal bias, their own personal interest, or the best friend, and the groups and the cliques, it's time for them to go. Because they're not placed there to do what's in their own singular best interest. They are placed there to be in collaboration with what the constituents want. So even if it goes against what they think, you're supposed to vote upon what the constituents want. How many of them are actually coming out to hear what the constituents want? For example, they had a town hall just recently in District 5 with school board member here in Shade, Washington. Now, I will say this. There was grand information provided to say all of the good things that he's been doing with collaboration with various organizations, members of the community, Tony Dudgeon, there was some other foundations, Lowe's and something else, to bring in more dollars into the district. There was a highlight of the golfing group over at James Elementary. And, all those things are great. We applaud you. Fine, phenomenal, superb. But what we cannot avoid having a conversation about is the things that were illuminated at the discussion. One of those things that were illuminated was the situation at your school, Denise.
Yes.
Where it was shared that there was a high number of students that were placed on the failure list. And it was stated that I'm going to come to your school to see what's going on. I'm going to figure out what's happening. I'm going to get someone over there to see what's going on.
Owls?
I'm looking.
Take flight. I'm still just over there, maybe over there.
And then
over there. Okay.
It's misconstrued that individuals are going against what he's doing or the lack of what he's doing. There's always going to be people that's upset or miserable or whatever it is the language was about how leaders lead. Well, I think in District 5, we need, because I live in that area too, I need for my children and all the children that I serve 100 plus. And children that I serve people that I served when they was children, now they have children. I think I can also speak for some of them. And my relatives' children, I think I can speak for them too. What we need is less conversation about what's going to happen versus what to make it happen now, not later. Now we need something to happen now, because when it's viewed or implied that the information that is being brought forward about what's happening in District 5 and it's tabled like if that's happening, nobody makes up this information and want to create District 5 as a negative environment. It's not about being negative. It's just what's happening. And we need something to change. And until we have realistic conversation and put action items in place in order to address these issues, nothing's going to change. You're just warming seats up there if it's not driven behind change for the children in District 5. And also the educators that serve the children in District 5. Exactly. So I say this, we already see nothing is going to change in that area, nothing. We too busy worried about somebody being offended or somebody taking it personal. The same thing that Tammy was condemned for, that she wore her feelings on her shoulders. Well, I just don't see too much indifference versus she was vocal about how she felt. And now we got one that's silent. I'm sorry, but I'm not. I'm not. I'm not. Because one thing is certain, the children are still suffering. Right. That's facts. It's not getting better. And nobody's making rumors about what's happening at Foster and Oak Park. The information that came from those schools came from people that work at their schools, that the administrator said to them, go find you another job, because I am concerned about the outcome that's coming from leadership as it relates to our school continuing to stay open after this school year. That's what they said. Why would those people lie? What benefit do they get? But they are intimidated by individuals saying that to them and scared to speak out, because at this point, I don't even know why y'all scared anymore. It's clear that even if you're quiet, you at risk. Women of God, men of God, women of God, men of God. You know, that same God that you serve, that same one that's supposed to lead how you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you have to understand, we are guided by facts. Okay, that's the first thing. We're guided by facts. There is information out there. If you don't want to believe us, believe the facts. You pull the report, ask people questions. One, we know what our children are going through, and the fact that they're, first of all, they're traumatized. Then they have to be forced upon this to take these specific tests. Educationally, you have all these different levels of education that they're at. They're literally 2 years behind, and then some of them are going off to high school. We see all those things. Those are facts. Nobody, first of all, just like piggyback what April just said, you know, whether you make noise or whether you're quiet, listen, the changes are happening. So be proactive. You might as well just say something anyway, because we know this is what's going to take place. That's first of all. Second, one thing I've come to a realization of over the just within the past 2 to 3 years, right? You have two distinct set of educators as well. So you have a set that, you know, you got the 20 plus, the ones who are up there, at least give it more than 15. And then you have a new set that's like, look, I'm just holding on. I'm holding on for this job. But we need to make sure that if your mindset is for the children, be for the children. Don't get in the job and then say, okay, well, I'm just going to sit back and click. You see what's happening right now? There's no steady ground. There's no certainty in terms of what's going on and what's happening for us in the future, especially after the summertime. So let's say to us that we got to be here for our children. Our children are struggling, and especially within District 5. We see what's happening. What are the listen, we 10 days away from summer. 10 days away from summer. We don't got the first report of a child got shot by a stray bullet, 9 years old. 10 days away. What's going to happen? We haven't even got into the summer phase yet. What is going to happen to our children? What's going to happen to our future at this point in time? But just like we were saying, we can't have a 5-year plan for something that's happening right now. These things are occurring right now. Ask yourself: has any of the school board members who've been voted in, have they popped by, visited your school? Have they spent some time talking to your principal, even the staff? What are they getting out of it? Have they spoken to the children? That's another thing. Ask the kids the pertinent questions. Are you happy here? What are you learning? Are you comfortable with the teachers? What are your expectations for school? But that's what needs to happen, so that they get understand where they are, who just like we said, their constituents. Who are you serving? But do you even care? That's the question.
You would be absolutely right, Diana Williamson. The district make money on failing schools. You're so right.
Yes, it does.
Yep, we know.
Yes, it does.
But the community, even if it's no way, community at this point could just be about 30, 40 people to get loud enough to have those conversations that's persistent and assertive enough to make demands, not ask, make demands about what's going on in our schools. Angela says, our failure to improve schools in the last 2 decades isn't because we lack funding or don't know how to improve schools. What we lack is the will and persistence to implement what we already know. Yeah, that's factual.
Absolutely. Because Oh, how come and you know what, how you know this is true? Because every time teachers go to trainings, every time teachers go to professional development, all those things that we have to do, they have all the facts right there. They know how many schools are failing. They know the number of referrals. They know the trauma the kids are going through. They have all the statistics. Everything is right there. But if you all know all this information, why are you not acting upon it? It's just a training. Just like you said, they're making money. So we just need to give you a training. Poverty in school. We just need to give you a training on that. A training on social emotional learning. A training on every possible thing under the world. The best training. All that stuff like that. But if you know this is taking place, why are you just teaching us about it as opposed to actually doing something about it? I roll. Correct.
So I challenge all of those, like I said, calling all parents, community members, education staff, partnering organizations to these schools, meaning the PTAs, the professional organizations, to include sororities and fraternities serving families of students that attend Adams Middle, Broward, Cleveland, Folsom, Foster, James, Jennings, Kinley, Kimball, Lockhart, Mango, McDonald, Oak Park, Pizzo, Potter, Robles, Shaw, Sulphur Springs, Thenota Sassa, Witter, and Woodson. We can no longer sit back and wait for others to be vocal about the changes that we want to see happen for our children, because our silence have afforded them the opportunity to be consistent in our children leading the school to prison pipeline, and consistent in not being able to demonstrate academic growth to do well or be a level 3, a score level 3 in reading and math for FSA. Those are consistent facts. Those are consistent. It's not to be negative. It's consistent. Those are the facts. The data says it. So when you're ignoring something that's factual because you don't want it to be seen as negative, you're in the wrong place. That means you don't want to address the problem head on. You're thinking that you could go over it and don't deal with the current issues. You can't. That's not even a demonstration of leadership.
And the solution is not to shut down schools. Well, the solution is to bring in more resources. Right. But of course, when you have a money problem, of course you can't bring in more resources. You can't do what needs to be done. So it's like you saw the problem, you claim to address the problem, or you acknowledge the problem, but you're not really applying any aid or any help to the problem. And all we're doing is producing another generation of high school dropouts. What I'm looking at right now, the statistics are going to be atrocious when it comes to this pandemic. I'm going to call it the pandemic generation that is moving from up the steps to every other grade level, meaning that the kids that are moving from elementary to middle and the kids that are moved from middle to high school, how many of the, especially that 8th, 9th year, 9th grade, 8th grade and 9th grade gap right there, how many of them going to get to high school and say, you know what, this ain't for me? Because 9th grade is the year when most of them drop out.
And let's go back. How can we truthfully place 6th graders in the STEP program knowing all of the academic gaps that were imposed upon them, even with, because remember, they already got academic gaps. That's how they were repeated a year or two. Now you're going to say to them, oh yeah, you missed a whole entire 4th 9 weeks the prior school year. And we know education just was different this year. I don't care what teacher, I don't care what teacher, you were not able to give 100% to those kids. You gave 100% with what you had, all while experiencing a pandemic yourself with you and your family. But it was not 100%. If you saying it was, you're lying to yourself. There was no way. But you're now going to say 6th grader, you're still eligible for the STEP program, where many of them currently are failing their 4 content classes. But because of age, we're just going to place you let you go to summer school and place you in the 8th grade, which is now going to put more pressure on you, which is going to create more academic gaps. So by the time you get to the 9th grade, like Denise said, forget it. I'm done with it. I'll go get a job.
Mm-hmm. And you're also not looking at the one factor that's so important in order for them to truly process educationally is behavior. They're already still sitting in that 6th grade mindset. Now you're going to skip them a whole grade level and drop them in the 8th grade. Let me tell you something. I have a class that's comprised of the step kids, and you can clearly see they are still. I wouldn't even say middle school or 6th grade in their mind. They're still elementary in their mind and the behavior. I mean, the way they solve problems, the way they address issues, the way they don't want to work, their task avoidance. I'm like, the only reason why a lot of y'all are here because you are older now. That's your age, but mentally, academically, and emotionally, they are not prepared. I remember at the end, in fact, in 10 days, these same people who jumped the whole year are now going to 9th grade, and they're only going to 9th grade because they happen to be 14, getting ready to be 15. But yet, skill wise, I tell you, if they had to write a paper, they couldn't do it. Understand 10th grade text, which is the science textbooks, they can't do it. Understand how to break down pieces of larger pieces of text, can't do it. And then let me just jump in real quick on this Achieve 3000, which sucks. As a reading teacher, I'm gonna tell you right now, it is the worst thing possible because let me explain to you. A child who's on reading level, who might be at a 900 reading level in my 6th and 7th grade class, they're going to get a passage on Achieve 3000 that's 8-9 paragraphs long, complete with the questions, the activities, all the other things that go with it. A child who got a 1st grade reading level in the same class is going to get 1 paragraph. And then they may score 80% on that paragraph and they feel great and successful. But is it realistically? That's not how life works. Realistically, everybody getting the same piece of text. Everyone.
Realistically, they're gonna all take that same FSA and EOC.
Correct. I can't.
They're gonna take that same FSA and EOC. Those are facts. There won't be no differentiated instruction then.
Correct. So that monochrome of success they felt have taken and achieved 3000 on the program, a little bit of a success. Oh yeah, I'm making 80%. I'm doing it. Okay, but when you see the FSA that everybody else got to take in the same room, you tapped out after the first 5 minutes because I know I was the proctor the test. I'm like, oh, we gotta wake up. We got to come on. No, this thing is pages long. Pages long. They don't have the stamina because you jumped them and they're not ready. I'm so concerned about the fact that you're going to have a large group. The kids are walking in 9th grade, might be 7, 8, 900 strong. They might be 200 that probably make it them 4 years. These next 4 years come in because they're not ready. But, y'all, we just work here.
That's it.
We just work here.
That's it.
That's all.
That's all we are expecting when they send their children to school, that the individuals that they send them to are going to do what's in their best interest. Now, we know all parents and all students not going to be a perfect match for every child. We get that. But as long as they are teaching that child, teaching them, not causing them any physical harm and no mental harm. They may not like it. As long as they are teaching them so they can advance their academics, that's all that matters.
Right.
What should be alarming is when we're jumping from one grade level to the next, and we're not equipping them with the knowledge that they need to be successful. That's called a setup for failure. I wonder if we're going to get any 4th graders or 6th graders this year. Oh, that happens too.
And parents, we need you to
don't retain them from the beginning. Just don't retain them. Just stop retaining them.
Just be aware of what's going on. I mean, just ask, not even just ask, just, your children, have them write something for you. Just have them write a sentence or two. Look at it and really look at it. Look at everything from the way they hold a pencil to the words that come across the paper. And then say to yourself, this child ready for 9th grade? This child ready for 8th grade? Is this child ready for 6th grade? And then on the other side of that spectrum is the ones who you could tell parents didn't let them stop during the summertime. They kept on pushing, they kept reading, they kept doing what they had to do. They were advancing themselves in math. So you just don't want those kids to be bored either. You want them to be, well, like, if you were already at a 4 to 5, stay at a 4 to 5. We want to keep you there because we want those children to also be highly successful. I missed that comment. April, I'm sorry, I missed that.
I didn't see your comment, so my thing is moving slow. So whatever it was, I missed it too. Okay. So let's move forward and talk about. That is a major problem. They also throw accommodations at kids on paper and push them through without ever actually helping them. That is true.
Yes, that's
we have to educate our children on how to advocate for themselves, based upon the accommodations that was discussed in the meeting. So that takes some parent training. In order to teach your child how to advocate for themselves, because mine have speech, and when they have some challenges, they know how to say, hey, hold on. I need some help here. So definitely something that we have to teach our children how to do. Is it easy? No. Can it be done though? Yes. Even if it's on a little sticky note in their notebook to remember if you get stuck, that you can ask the teacher for a blah, blah, blah based on your accommodations. So there's ways to, get the kids to, teach them how to advocate for themselves, because one thing they do know how to do is advocate for themselves when they feel they've been mistreated when they was wrong.
That's right. But then they're also keeping in mind with that is making sure that they understand that there are also parameters as well, because a lot of times you'll have kids who may feel that, well, okay, I have to talk to my counselor, I have to talk to my my resource person or whatever, and then sometimes they'll actually say, well, I need to go all the time, like every single period they need to leave. I'm like, no, that's not how it works. There's a lot of time. I mean, yes, that person can see you, but that we actually have some kids who want to go all day long. I'm like, we can't use that as a crutch to run away from class. So that's important that our children also see that balance, and that's also on us too, to teach them that balance, that okay, if there's an issue, we're going to get to it, and then we're not putting you aside, but we're going to get to it, but you can't leave every single period to do that. So that's important that they know and they understand how that works, that whole system, that whole everything works. Because right now we're at the end of the school year where we're seeing the influx of the IEP and 504 plans that need to be updated, and it's like, okay, this is a lot. This is a lot. But at the same time, it is helpful for our children to understand that they know that there's somebody that's there for them. Now, do they always go? Not all the time, but the support is there. Focusing on.
Oh, wait, hold on. Let's go back because we almost forgot something. Hold on. Go back. Let's talk about this leadership. Let's go back because we talked about local leadership. Let's talk about local leadership that skipped states and now is having problems in their new capacity.
That's right.
Because one thing you can't change is behaviors.
Correct. Listen.
And one thing you can't ignore either is that the people that you are around, those same leaders, don't know your behaviors. So it must be you condoning the actions that they're doing. Woman of God, man of God. Woman of God, man of God. You're condoning it. If you have not heard, we're talking about the toe popping situation with a leg Inca up in Rhode Island. That's what we're talking about. We made this up. It been happened. It's just that when it was for our children that was coming out of Nucio, it wasn't important. It wasn't important enough to have no bracelets put on. It wasn't important enough for our children. But you carried that to Rhode Island, and now what? Go ahead, Denise.
All I got to say is this too, right? Okay, I absolutely co-sign what you just said. First of all, I understand something. There's some things that certain people can do that it ain't for everybody. We can't think in our mind that we got so high up in our salary base and got so high up in our area, and then you up in Rhode Island, where the percentage of people that look like this color and that color, whatever case she is in the camera, the percentage of us is small. Do you think you could be able to do, as I call it, categorize Caucasian crimes? You think you could do those and nothing ain't gonna happen to you? Oh, can I get some legs or do something? No, something up. First of all, you're gonna take everybody with you, and now they research and they investigate. Well, hey, if one of them does it, is it possible that all of them do it? And I mean,
what else are y'all doing that is not in the best interest of a child?
Correct.
Because evidently, are your friends saying like, dude, don't do that? You got a slap on the hand and promoted in Hillsborough County, the principal and area director, when you did that in our county, in Hillsborough. Don't go get some help. Like a person that has a drug addiction, go get some help.
Right. Because you
don't want to go get some help.
You don't want to be in a situation where it becomes in such a way now that you're actually classified as something totally else different and it goes into the system. But we have to always think deeper than that. When we any of us, especially those of us of people of color who are now elevated to a position where we're making big dollars, we cannot think for a second. We can't let it slip for a second for us to feel that we can do whatever we want, because the penalties will be harder on us than they are on other people. So some people who Caucasians can go lose a $600,000 job and turn around and get another $600,000 job. They can do that. The same thing don't apply to us.
Okay, y'all got a question. I have a question for the Black elected officials that signed a letter to endorse Harrison Peters. Where's the same energy on the 111 schools declining their performance in their city? When you're referring to Black officials, are you referring to the ones that were in office, which would have been Diane Hart, Tammy, Schamberger? Who was it then? Was Orlando Goose in office then? I think Orlando Goose was in office then. I don't know who else. Who else? We got to know. I don't remember who all it was, but there. Oh no, it wasn't. Commissioner Myers was in office. Myers, the Black guy, was in office then. He's no longer in office. That is a good question. That's a great question.
Yeah.
Where are y'all now? Or are we going to keep saying, I didn't know? Education is the foundation for the success of individuals, growing into their different phases of life, called adulthood at some point, in order to be able to sustain the quality of life for a community.
Right.
It gets worse when there's no academics to where now they can lead into productive jobs. It leads to more crime when that's not happening.
And we see it right now. We see all that taking place right now.
Everybody's tell y'all, listen. I just don't get it. I don't.
We see it happening. We see it happening right now when it comes to
what she said. Representative Fentress Driscoll also was there at that moment.
Okay.
Good question. We have no problem with asking. So the question is valid. What are you all thoughts? The 111 schools that the performance is still on the decline. The data can be at any point right now where any data is provided to say that things are getting better. Stop it. Stop it.
Lies.
Blame every damn thing else on COVID. I'm blaming this on COVID. The data is not right. Stop it.
Walk through a school one time. Just come talk to the kids.
They can't walk through it right now because COVID. Remember, everything costs COVID.
Well, I find that very interesting when you can say you don't want anybody to come and sign their children in, but yet conference night, you let the parents walk all through the halls. So how is that? That sounds like a contradictory type of thing because COVID.
Or we can have special events on the campus.
Oh, right. But you have special situations like that. But then again, you might have a teacher, his whole classroom quarantine, but yet you just move the kids over. He quarantined, but why not the kids? It's like we pick.
And talk about quarantining. As we move forward with the consideration of no mask, when the numbers at certain school sites are so spiked to where you got whole classrooms just gone.
Yes, yellow tape across the door. Yellow tape across the door. And
have you seen a COVID? Have you seen the COVID team come clean anymore? Or girl, listen, the floors are filthy. The garbage can. We ain't got no soap, no paper towels. We ain't mopping no floors. Just stop.
Y'all should know after May 1st, we ain't getting no more new supplies. So please send your children with that last pack of Clorox wipes. Please, we have nothing. Children steady asking for stuff. I said, what do I have at this point in time? I'm barely holding on to the last set of crackers and juices and stuff for the end of the school year. Come on now. And by the way, you can still send some more if you want to. But listen, what supply? Listen, when the kids come to me and say, Miss, you got soap. What?
My room, look, I sit across from the bathroom. So I have to put a roll of paper towels and hand soap right there so they come get a pump. Oh, and toilet paper. They got a roll. You need toilet paper, Miss Cobb? You got Miss Cobb, you got toilet paper. But y'all playing these games.
I have many soap.
Telling us what you can't do and what's not happening. And if I have no benefit to make this up, but we can ignore it like it's not happening. Yeah, my children been home all school year. Why should I care? Oh, because those kids look like me.
Right.
And even those that don't, I make sure they got some toilet paper.
Right.
A squeeze of soap. A paper towel or two. Hand sanitizer.
Right.
Broom. Swift when I can. I ain't buying no more Swift to pass. They too high. I'm done. The floor nasty now. I just sweep it.
That's
I ain't buying. We spot clean with the wipes. It take the wax off and everything. Damn it. Sick of it. Stop lying. Stop making teachers feel like it's we're in a twilight zone.
Right.
And then when other educators come, Miss Cobb, no, don't go to the office. Go ask those people. I just work here just like you.
Another thing too is the masks. At this point in time, a lot of kids are now. I guess the nurses have, at least at my school, the nurse station has no more masks. Kids keep coming to me for masks. We got a set of. I don't know. Did you ever get that set of black masks that has a two separate set of air hole thingies, and they're either gonna be extra tight till you suffocate, or
it's gonna take 3 of them to provide protection, because you could blow and the paper towel move like this in front of say.
Yeah,
it's so thin.
It's thin. It's thin. So just because it's black don't mean that it ain't thin. I mean, you could probably blow a candle out if you put that thing on your face. So it's like, okay, really? So so I guess the solution for them was we buy them on masks. I guess we can go without masks next year. I don't know about the rest of them, but until this thing is dead in the water, this COVID-19, I plan to wear a mask until whatever. If I gotta sacrifice 3-4 years of my life with a mask on, that's fine, because I'd rather be safe than be sorry. I mean, and we have children who will not, they don't wear it correctly, whatever. Like, I can only imagine what it's going to be. But my thing is like this: I'm going to create a barrier around my desk, and I need you to stay away from me. If they insist that kids don't come into the school with, this is going to be you, and this is going to be me, way over here. And teach your children to respect personal space. That's the big thing.
Them babies need a hug. They're gonna run up on you quick. You already know you one of the ones. Miss, they be done brushed you. You can't even block them.
You really can't. There's no move. There's no move you can use to block them. No, it really ain't. They just come right up. They're all over you. So
just to recap, Bianca said that those individuals were Fitchers Driscoll, Diane Hart, Councilman Gould was there at the time, Commissioner Les Miller. I said the wrong name with Myers. It was Les Miller, Darryl Roussan, and Representative Wingate Newton. So yes, it would be great to know, what's the new intentions as it relates to addressing the 111 low performing schools, with the emphasis on the schools that have been failing for right at a decade.
A long time.
Right at a decade. Which means that they produced a child that was constantly at an academic struggle for the majority of their academic life.
Right.
Something to think about.
Yeah.
Something to think about.
Bianca put in there the face covering survey. She put in a lot of information on the receipts from the letters, everything like that. So thank you, Bianca. That was excellent.
Yes.
Appreciate that. Appreciate
because
that.
we're not making it up. That's the thing we're pointing out. We're not making it up. We have no reason to.
No.
And the last day of school, Denise, is
May 28th. That's in 10 days. May 20th. This is not the time to ask for additional work. This is not the time to say, can I, may I, will I bring up my grade? This is not the time to send me a bunch of messages in Canvas, email, Skywrite it, wherever you need to put it. This is not the time. We're done at this point in time. Remember, FSA, because listen, I'm going to tell you like this, as a parent, you might think the school year is still going on, but your child is officially tapped out. I mean, once those kids have taken those FSAs, I got some kids who truly, in their heart, soul, spirit, all that believe that school is done. They wander the hallway, they walking over the place. Listen, they out of uniform. We are a uniform school. And by the way, our school uniform next year is a red shirt and a khaki bottom. Please, there is no deviation from that. It's called uniform. If your child is at this point feeling that they don't want to wear the uniform, I don't feel it. I'm coming to school in bedroom slippers and fuzzy. Listen, just stay home. Just do us a favor, because what happens is you have a set of teachers also who some teachers are tapped out. And then some of us are still on it. The ones who are tapped out are not helping us enforce the rules. So the ones who are still on the rules are having a constant battle. I had a child that actually walked into my classroom. Well, she tried to walk, by the way. First of all, you don't walk in the door in fuzzy slippers. So she came to the door in fuzzy slippers. I said, where are your shoes? You can either have two options. Put the shoes on and you can go to the office, but you ain't coming in here in no fuzzy bedroom slippers. She put the shoes on. That was second period. By third period, the shoes was off and the fuzzy bedroom slippers was on, coming out of a totally different teacher classroom. I said, well, listen, this is the problem right here. If you're not going to help me, you're making my job harder. So like I said, with 10 days left, if your children can't follow the rules, just come on, be home. And then contemplate seriously where they need to be. Contemplate. Ask your children, did they like this past school year? Do they get along at school? Are they being bullied at school? Because there's a lot of factors that affect how your child performs in school. And then on top of that, please, families, I'm going to ask you again, as somebody who has done 20 plus years of teaching, I don't need generations of kids anymore. I think generations is what caused the gang mentality in school. Okay, when you have generations of kids, you got 5, 6, 7, 8 every year. 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade is me. 6th, 7th, 8th grade, I'm seeing the same child, same family. 6th, 7th, 8th grade. This is my cousin, my mama, my sister, my brother. That is what creates the gang mentality in school. Because when one of them get mad, now a gang of them come in to beat up everybody. We don't need that. We don't need that. School is a place where that's the community. Okay, sometimes you got to sit to yourself, all right, let this one child go to this one school for the experience that they want to have. All right, this child chose this particular school. Hey, this child is good at science. This is the school they want to go to. This child want to go to a tech school. This what, but we can't. Come on, I can't even say nothing else about it because I'm so frustrated. You know, that's my personal issues I had this past particular week because I had to learn, like, they call me Bob the Builder because I had to build my own damn barricade.
You had to build a barricade, did he? And while we watching videos over at Tech where they jumping off balconies,
right,
beating each other up
for clout.
98% graduation rate, but what happens to that 2% that needs the same support? I'm not going to get on that soapbox today. Summer programs. There are summer programs being offered in our district. The logistics of it, I don't know the details, but I do know that you could go to the district website and get that information. And you also could contact your child's school and get those details as well. The majority of the students that are STEP, they have been contacted by their guidance counselors, given letters to indicate what is the procedure for going to attending the STEP program. I think the parents even had to sign off committing that they understood the rules. Your child can't have so many absences and blah, blah, blah. So again, reach out to your child's school. Don't wait 11:59 to figure out if they're in or out. And my question would be is, there are children that are currently failing all 4 of their contests, and they were given letters. And I'm going to say this, if they're going to give it to one, they should not exclude not none other that's eligible for STEP. That would be equity. You know, that's what equity is right there.
Correct.
You know. So if your child is declined, argue it. Nope. I know that there are other children that too may have missed the mark. However, they're being extended the opportunity to excel grade-wise in order to boost their self-esteem. That's the reason why they say they do it. But yeah. So tutoring is out there. Denise and I both are tutors for a nominal fee. We definitely are capable of being able to be secured for hourly rates for tutoring services over the summer. So if you're interested in receiving any types of tutoring, please reach out to us and we will definitely respond. And key words, for a nominal fee. It's not free. For a nominal fee, it's not free.
Correct.
Summer program, okay. But before we get up off of here, I did want to talk about the adults that's violating kids in Hillsborough County Public Schools, because it seems as though that conversation just went real quiet after we have been seeing it for the last few months, where male teachers or whatever capacity that they serve in have been violating youth. And the only thing that I can say to that is, I don't understand the mindset of an adult that can engage in a conversation with a child that becomes so good to them, to where they then start to have these adult thoughts about how to interact with that child, meaning sexually. I think it's the grossest thing ever. I don't see what they can have in common. Completely says that from the initial engagement, it's just pedophile mentality, period. There's no other words for it. But my question becomes, for those children that happened to, maybe it does happen, maybe we're just not privy to the information. Is there any type of services that's extended to those children and those peers that were impacted by that trauma imposed upon them by a district employee? Do you know if that happens? Because we do know that when someone dies on our campuses, the child has to ask to go seek
a counselor, a grief counselor.
Like, you know, like a cartoon where they could peel their whole face off, the skin.
Yes.
And you see the bones and the. So that's one of my questions. Like, what happens to those children?
You know what questions lead to mine too? Is it that they feel that our children, and I'm talking about our children in our district, are so desensitized to so much trauma and violence thing that they don't even care? Well, these are the kids, they already see all this stuff. They know all this stuff. They watch it on their phone, on TV. They hear helicopters at night. They see the shootings in the community. So, well, maybe they're just desensitized. They don't need all of the additional help. And that's a horrible thought to even just come up with.
And are these the same children that was being referenced by many of the board members to say that many of these children need to be in school because that's their only time for safety and food, right? And those are the same children that we keep saying mental health services are going to be provided to those kids on the campuses, right?
Correct.
Are those the same children that Diane Williamson is referring to ask, so what is being offered to the 111 failing school students this school year? Which means that there's thousands of kids that this is being directly correlated with. Ms. Williamson, that is a great question. And if you have the answer, I contacted the district and have them put the extended school year handbook on the website. They put it up Friday. I noticed nothing new is being offered yet. That was what the ESSER funds
were for.
Yeah,
baby.
See, you sound like somebody that we need on that good old these round tables to have discussions about bringing that stuff back to the board to begin having meaningful dialogue, to make demands, not ask, make demands for the benefit of our children collectively in these schools. And again, when I speak about that, I'm speaking from a parenting perspective and I'm speaking from a family member perspective, because I have many children that go to these schools, you know, those schools, the transformation schools. So Ms. Smith says the student should definitely be referred for counseling service. Listen.
When they're available.
Let me get clarity. Are you saying counseling services by the counselor, or are you saying counseling services to mental health services outside of the school setting or brought in? Because that's a whole other conversation. If it's that. Because we discovered some things that teachers are having a lot of, not teachers,
with the counselors.
Clinicians are having a hard time with providing the services to the children because they do not have access to them because of the Medicaid and all this other stuff. But when they say they're offering mental health services for the kids, is that coming from the district or that's coming from the child's insurance? Oh, mental health counselors, I've never seen one. I've not seen them at my school. I have not. If they have, it's a secret. And I know many kids that should have been on that list. Because I know I referred a few that they need some help.
A lot of times when they do get the mental health services is because they have been what's the word there, April? They have been Baker acted. And
yes.
And that's not exactly what the type of mental health that they need to be Baker acted. They need a totally different type of help. So that's the time a lot of times when we see a situation like that occurring. So, you know.
And yeah, so let's go back. So back to those ESSER funds. Ms. Diana Williamson, we are going to stalk you and find you to have that dialogue, some more conversation around that. And it was one other thing that we needed to chat about. We're long-winded today because we had a lot to talk about. What was the other thing?
Sex summer recruiting.
Yes. So SEC had our first retreat, and we had a lot of conversation about many of things that we talk here on diversity and equity in education, because holistically we want what's best for children. And in order to do that, we have discovered that we can no longer take the conversation to individuals that have been voted into office because they lose focus when it does not directly impact their children or the children in the communities that they reside in. So with that being said, let me say it for an example. I asked a question at Candy Lowe's Tea and Conversation that was around education, the current state of education in Hillsborough County Public Schools. And the people in the audience or constituents or community individuals had many, very good questions. And one of the statements was, stop telling us what you can't do and tell us what you can do based upon when you was on that campaign trail. So I think it definitely gave me a different perspective moving forward when new board members come about for their time for them to run again or whatever it may be. We're very clear on what they can't do because we have been educated on everything they can't do. But what we do know that based upon what we thought they could do as it relates to the superintendent, it don't seem they could do that either because they can't come to an agreement that makes sense, that's going to be synergy in alignment with what's best for all children in the district.
Correct.
And what also said, we have to hold all board members accountable because remember, when they were running for office, all of them, it was stated that I'm going to make sure I go and help those in District 5 as well. So let's not only help those in District 5, and then let's not use the language that I want to step on anyone's toes and I don't want to offend anyone. Forget that. Forget that when it comes to children, because these are those children's lives. Offend them and stomp on the toes. Smash them. The biggest hill, clump on through. Push a few people out the way if you need to, if it's for the benefit of children.
And don't say one thing and then vote a totally different way because your vote is public record.
Hold on.
The statements are public.
Pin it. Let's go back to the District 5 meeting when we said that. Do you recall the conversation when it was said that we're going to hold our superintendent accountable?
Yes.
We're going to put that accountability plan in place. Do you remember that conversation?
I was clear. That was clear.
Were you there?
So
did you hear it?
Yes, I heard it.
But what you heard from the dais, what did they say?
The vote says something totally different.
How, Sway? How? How did you sit before us and just go and do something totally different? How? And it's on video.
Yep.
PTA advocacy group. It's on video. And it's listen.
I don't know what to say. I just don't
gotta do what's best for children. We gotta do what's best for children. And that includes being knowledgeable about the Black and brown children with an emphasis on Black children in your districts as it relates to what the discipline looked like for them. Don't say to me that you have an interest in shifting or changing this narrative when you don't know the impact of how that's currently impacting the Black children in your district. Are they still the highly representation of being suspended and sent to alternative schools? And are they not represented in the AP classes or the honors event? Do your damn research and stop playing. Like, I get so frustrated with the mind games. The data is the data. We don't want no skewed data. We don't want no COVID data. We don't want that data. We want the actual data that's coming out of the school. Go tell them to show you the grades for the quarters. You don't want the student names. Stop saying you can't give us the data because student name. We don't want no name. We just want the ethnicities.
And stop acting shocked and surprised. It's a lot of times well, I can't believe this and I can't believe that. We've been saying this for a hot minute. We've been saying this for years. I'm shocked. Oh, you mean to tell me kids can't read? What kind? Or then also acting like just because they made a point percentage, a micrometer of a decline in this many kids who are being suspended and being given referrals or being expelled because the decline is this. Hold on, can I even see the space between it? Is that this decline right there? About that? And now we happy about that number. It's still disproportionate.
It's like my feet be burning at the bottom. Like, I be having some bad thoughts in my head. Like, am I having a brain, like I'm melting down in my body when you give me data and show that?
Right.
You give me data that shows a decline, but we still only represent less than 24% in the district, but we represent over 40% when it represents anything negative. Now there's your negative thought. That's the negativity.
Correct. And then we also act surprised when we don't know why there's such a school to prison pipeline. So you don't realize that the number of kids, the way the kids, the representation we see right now on this level, in the school level, and you look at jail, and you don't see the same representation in jail, but you say those two things don't go together. Why we always want to act surprised when the facts are super clear? And you can't get no clearer than these facts. You can't get no clearer. How? How you just gonna sit there and say, and this thing doesn't exist, it's not real, it doesn't work? Please go, how about go in the hood and just go pull 5 random kids and just talk to them?
Girl, they ain't going to no hood, they're scared. All right, it says, we're gonna take this last question. Angela says, the follow-up question for any mention of mental health services should be, so what does that look like if I'm a second grader at school? Explain it to me like I'm 5, right? Well, I want them to explain it to me like I'm 5 about the discipline data and telling me that it's getting better and that it's not going to happen overnight. We're aware of that, but stop making it seem like it's something good when it's a. So we're being prompt to let you all know to connect with us online with the Sunshine Education Coalition.org. We are a nonprofit organization. We are registered. We're registered. We fall underneath the umbrella for the Beauty Blueprint Foundation. We have this coalition that umbrellas underneath it. We don't get paid to do this. We actually put ourselves more at risk by doing so. But we serve a God, my God, that there's no man can put no fear in me. Because when it's time, it's time. And that just means that He is ready for me to be moved. But what I do know is, please note, it's what's for the best interest of children. No sugarcoat.
Right.
So I challenge all of you all to reach out to us so we could collaborate and have meaningful discussions that's going to benefit these children, those children, because in classrooms, they refer to them as them kids and those children. Don't let it be because it's not your child that it's not important. Because remember, you getting old, got to go to the doctor. You're going to need your car fixed.
Correct.
Jobs got to be filled by somebody.
AC got to get repaired.
Plumbing.
Correct. The roof need to be done.
Got to know measurement. Got to read the bill.
Yes.
Got to pass the contract.
Fence got to get installed. All that.
So, stop talking. Let's do something. Stop talking. Let's do something. And when you look, we put everything to go viral for everything else. Could you share the information about we're seeking out support and help to get the work done for other people's children? Correct. For other people's children. Because I can just shut my door, close the blinds, and just make sure these two over here all right. I can reach out to Denise for their reading. I got some math skills. When they get to middle and high school, I got several resources that I can just reach out for my child. And we got so many people that do that too. As long as it ain't my child, I ain't got nothing to say. You'll let somebody else's child struggle and be drugged through the mud. But since it ain't your child, it's all good. Yeah, woman of God, man of God, let me get off of you. Because
but just to jump
all these godly people. All these godly people. But we see these children and Hillsborough County being drugged through the mud, not getting what they need in specific districts, and we're okay with that. Not my child, so it's okay.
But your child in school with these children, that's the other thing you just gotta understand. Yeah, it might not be your particular child, but I guarantee you, in any classroom, your child might be the exception. So you got to look at the fact that your child is in the class with other kids who might fall into those categories. So you got to care, because guess what? The behavior also is going to affect your child.
The God in you should make you want to care. The God in you should make you want to care. Oh, yeah. So there's no confusion. Mine's going to charter school next year because I have a choice.
Correct.
Come on, we can have that conversation.
Correct.
We have totally different views about that, Denise and I. But what she do know is that my children have been going to failing schools for their entire duration of their academic years. Now, she knows that's a fact. So now what?
And then, so you have to make what, and that's right, you have to make the best, wisest decision for the kids. And then, of course, the kids have a great support system, just like what she was mentioning. But does everyone? So because everyone doesn't have it, we all have to pitch in to make sure that every child has the opportunity to be successful. Think about it.
And I just have a question for the people in the back that was brought to my attention last week. At Armwood, we schedule a test before school starts for AP testing. So what happens when the child don't have transportation to get there? Oh, parents go and pick up other children and make sure that they can get to school because that child has worked hard all year to sustain a passing grade and now would miss out on the opportunity because they don't have transportation to get there to take the test. But you ain't got nothing to say about it. I have April Cobb with April's Beauty Bar.
The DVD with Carved Out Divas.
And we're Diversity and Equity in Education.
Correct. Have a wonderful and blessed evening, everyone.
Do better.
Right.
Bye, y'all.